Hello, and thank you for joining me for another episode of You Would Think. Full disclosure, I am not an attorney. I do not have a law degree. My degree is in forensics and crime scene technology. This is a trial channel. I made it just so I could have a community of people that kind of like the same things and pay attention to the same things, and to have healthy discussions around that. I'm not offering any legal advice. That being said, let's get into today's episode, which will cover day 10 of Lindsay Clancy's trial. On Friday, her psychiatrist from 2022 testified, Jennifer Tufts, and that was her direct testimony, and then today was her cross-examination. There were a few highlights and informative moments as well. We're going to take a look at some of those, and otherwise, let's get to it. All right, so again, we are going to be looking at the testimony, cross-examination of Jennifer Tufts. Now, for any of our new viewers, background on the case, Lindsay Clancy strangled her 3 children in January of 2023, and then purportedly went upstairs to her second-story bedroom, cut her wrists and her neck in an attempt to potentially, unalive herself. And then she jumped out of that bedroom window and ended up with a Jefferson fracture, which rendered her to be paralyzed from roughly the belly button down. The trial is mainly starting to kind of, like, we're just now finally able to get some testimony about her mental health, because that's the central question of this case. It's not, who did it. We know who did it. Through evidence, through documentation, and through, her herself and the defense stipulating to certain evidence. So again, we're on day 10, but we literally just are scratching the surface with the mental health. The defense claims that, she was in the throes of a postpartum psychosis when this occurred. And, of course, the prosecution, I think, is arguing that she's not. But their theory is not really very clear. At this point, to be honest with you, I really don't even think they know what their theory is. Prosecution has done a very, again, I personally just don't think that they have any idea what their theory is, and they're just kind of waiting for something to kind of unravel, where the defense, they have known and stuck with their theory from day one, and very structured questioning, and just a really good, her defense attorney is Kevin Reddington. Okay, this guy is been practicing law since 1975. And actually, one thing about some of today's testimony, Jennifer Tufts testified that her appointments with Lindsay were all telehealth. So when he's trying to reference some of these appointments, he keeps saying, so you met with her on the television, right? And then he corrects himself and says computer. And it's just one of those, like, tell me you're old without telling me you're old. You know what I mean? I thought it was kind of funny. But he kept doing it, too. So, right. But, so yeah, I appreciate that the at least the defense knows where they're going. again, the prosecution just seems to be kind of just waywardly hoping to figure it out. I don't know. Along with the psychiatrist that testified on Friday, who was a psychiatrist at the McLean Hospital, which is where Lindsay went on January 1st, 2023, because she was just, her mental health was just spiraling. And now remember, the event, the tragedy occurred on January 24th of 2023. So, mere weeks before it happened. And they called one of the psychiatrists from the McLean Hospital last week, Alia Goodhart. I have my own thoughts about her. You can watch the previous video and get into some of that. But her and Jennifer Tufts have been named in a civil suit brought by Lindsay's ex-husband Patrick and her family. And they're noting and accusing the psychiatrists of neglect. Basically just letting Lindsay down. And so far, I would have to agree. Again, the last video's got the comments regarding Alia Goodhart. And then we'll do Jennifer Tufts right now. So that was one of the things that the defense attorney led with was, you're in this civil suit, and he alleged that the outcome of this criminal trial would have a lot to do with the pending civil trial or civil suit. Jennifer Tufts said she doesn't know. That she's probably, you see this girl, she looks like she just graduated high school. And that's one of the points of contention here, is that when she was treating Lindsay in September of 2022, she literally only had a month of independent practice outside her residency under her belt. And the defense kind of gets into that a bit and kind of asks her, it's like, I think that you should be called an expert, and he suggested misrepresentation. And I think that that's one of the points in the civil suit. But I think that's what he was kind of getting at there. And she says that she does not believe that she had been neglectful, and so we'll watch just a little bit of that because it's kind of interesting how he gets into it right off the bat. So let's take a look at that real quick.
Is very, very major to the outcome of your lawsuit.
I don't actually know that.
So you understand that if, in fact, it's determined that you advertised as an expert in postpartum and in postpartum psychiatry, and you had a month experience plus a residency, would you consider that to be negligent or misrepresentation?
I do not believe that I have been negligent.
Do you understand what misrepresentation means?
Yes.
With a month under your belt plus your residency, do you really want this jury to believe that you were an expert? Can you advertise that?
I don't think that's exactly the wording that I used. I think I said that it was an interest of mine.
You were what?
No, go ahead. Good, you answer that.
I just think the wording was that it's an interest of mine. I don't believe I called myself an expert.
Are you an expert in postpartum?
I may be. I don't know. I think it depends on what you define an expert as.
Well.
So, both of these psychiatrists are central to Lindsay's mental health in the months and days leading up to this tragedy. I mean, Jennifer Tufts on the stand said that she had spoke with Lindsay, I believe, on January 23rd, which is one day. It's the day before this happened. I mean, somebody please help me make that make sense, because that does not make any sense. And then he gets into a line of questioning regarding the thyroid. He suggests that if you have elevated enzymes in your thyroid, that can have something to do with postpartum or postpartum psychosis. He asks her if she had read any of any articles that had been published in the medical genre regarding this theory. And then he had asked her about some blood tests, I suppose, that could have been done to test the thyroid, in which she said that she didn't do it. She would have had no reason to. And she said that even if her thyroid was elevated, it wouldn't have affected her treatment plan. And she would have then told Lindsay that she would need to reach out to her primary care physician or an endocrinologist. So we can watch a little bit of that exchange.
The thyroid?
Thyroid.
It's an organ in the human body that regulates hormones.
And what, if any, import and impact do thyroid levels have on your evaluation of a woman who is in the throes of postpartum depression?
They don't.
What is the purpose of a test to determine the thyroid levels?
Well, you can test something like the TSH.
Well, I don't know what a TSH is. I'm sorry. What is a TSH?
Thyroid stimulating hormone.
Okay, thank you.
That's something that can be tested, typically by maybe a PCP, primary care, or endocrinologist if they have concerns about someone's thyroid function.
Were you aware of a study that was a major study that was peer-reviewed? What does peer-reviewed mean in your business?
That it was reviewed by other researchers in a similar field.
And the report or the article or whatever it may be has to be approved by the peers that are reviewing it before it can be published, right?
Yes.
And you'd agree with me that in the medical field, it's a big deal to have publishing articles on your resume, right?
Yes.
And how many articles have you published about postpartum depression, postpartum psychosis, anything?
I have published something, but it's not a full article. It's just a small thing.
Okay. Are you aware of the psychiatry magazine article dealing with, in 2021, thyroid function in postpartum psychosis, an exploratory study? Have you ever heard of anything about that, let alone read an article about it?
No.
Are you aware that there are studies that have compared thyroid function between psychosis with postpartum onset, PPO, psychosis without postpartum onset, PWPO, and normal postpartum? You aware of that?
No.
Well, you're supposed to be an expert, or you specialize, or you have an interest in treating women that have suffered from postpartum, correct?
Yes.
Have you written any articles at all about postpartum depression, anxiety, psychosis?
No, I'm not a researcher. I'm a clinician.
Have you read any of the articles, such as thyroid function in postpartum psychosis?
I've read many articles. There are thousands. I have not read that specific article.
Thousands? Thousands of articles on postpartum psychosis and the thyroid?
No, not on that specific topic.
So, when the Astor doctors are treating a person like Lindsay, it's your testimony to this jury that testing, whether it's blood testing, or whether it's the cytopro P4 testing, is not necessary because Jennifer Tufts doesn't think it's necessary, right?
It does not yield information that would influence treatment.
Really? So if there was elevation in the thyroid, that wouldn't impact on your treatment at all, your evaluation, your investigation?
Sorry, I thought you had mentioned the cytochrome issue. Are we talking about that one, or are we talking about the thyroid?
Talking about the thyroid.
Okay.
Yeah. So if
Can you
there were
repeat?
tests that revealed elevation in the thyroid level, is it your testimony that you wouldn't care?
If I somehow found out that a patient had elevated thyroid levels, I would advise them to talk to their primary care or maybe get an endocrinologist to discuss it.
Did you ever recommend that Lindsay get an endocrinologist?
No, she
And the
did
reason-
not.
The answer is no. And you basically did not have any information that you could use to even realize that there might have been a thyroid issue with this woman that was postpartum, right? Because you didn't do any blood tests. You're still diagnosing her with generalized anxiety disorder, GAD, right?
Yes.
You add in there an adjustment disorder with depressed mood, I guess because of what she had been telling you, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So then he goes over all the medications, that she was giving Lindsay. And at one point, he does start to get a little brash with her in suggesting that, all these medications that she was giving, that, Lindsay wasn't doctor shopping and trying to get high. She was trying to get help. And if you remember, doctor shopping was one of those just baseless claims by the prosecution that they had mentioned in their opening statement. So to watch a little bit of that exchange, because he does get a little feisty.
3 more drugs, right? You prescribed Ativan, or increased the Ativan. What was her load for Ativan at this point? Do you remember?
Sorry?
What was her milligrams, if that's right, or nanograms, whatever it is, on the Ativan, on the script that you had provided her?
Objection, if we could just have a date.
I think you said, no, if you can answer that, go ahead.
Which date are we referring to for the Ativan? Because there were I'm sorry.
She already objected. He already said you can answer it. When did you increase her Ativan and to what level?
So she was prescribed Ativan 0.5 milligrams.
Right.
And then when I next saw her, she said it was a little bit helpful. So I said you could increase it and see if 1 milligram is more helpful.
Did she increase it?
Yes.
And when was the next time you saw her to talk to her on the television or on the computer?
Well, I saw her on the 26th, and then I saw her on the 31st. I'm sorry.
How was she on the 31st? Halloween.
Sorry.
How was she?
That's not my note. That's her therapy note.
Okay. So how about this November 2nd? Was that the next time you saw her?
I saw her on November 2nd.
And she told you that she was hesitant to use the medications, the Buspar and the hydroxyzine, right?
She said she was hesitant to try the Buspar.
She was scared of the drug. She was scared of the drugs, right?
She was afraid to take a medication.
She wasn't doctor shopping and asking you to give her drugs so she could get high. She was asking you for help. Isn't that right?
Yes.
And she was afraid to take the drugs and told you that she was afraid to take the drugs, right?
She told me she was afraid to take the Buspirone.
Yeah, so. And then one of the more dramatic periods of questioning with Jennifer Tufts was after the original cross-examination had finished. The state was allowed to get up and do something called redirect. And what they can do is they can ask questions, but it has to be within the scope of what was talked about on cross. So they ask her a few questions, to clear some things up, fill in the blanks. And when they're done, the defense has another shot as well. And same rules apply. He can only kind of clarify and ask questions only within the scope of what the prosecution had just asked her. So if the prosecution asked her, how was the weather today and what color is your shirt? Then the defense would only be able to get up and ask clarifying questions or more questions relating to, oh, okay, well, so the weather, it was raining. Okay, did you like that? Blah, blah, blah. What about the weather? Then you could ask questions about the color of your shirt. Like, oh yeah, it's got lines on it too, right? Because I'm still talking about the shirt, which was the scope of what the prosecution had just talked about on redirect. So there is a thing called pressured speech. I don't know. I've never actually heard that before. And apparently the prosecution has alleged that pressured speech is a sign that there's something might be wrong. It's just like we talked about in the previous video. Jennifer Tufts said she had a bunch of assessment tools to be able to assess her clients, so that she's not just relying on what they say, but how they're acting. And I guess pressured speech is something that indicates, a possible psychosis. So Kevin Reddington gets a copy of her notes regarding Lindsay, just black and white text, her notes. And he asked her to read a paragraph. And as she reads the paragraph, it's something like, she's presenting with sleep problems. The baby's crying. She yawns, but she's not tired. And then it says, not hyper, comma, pressured speech. Jennifer Tufts pushes back pretty hard on this, saying that that's not what she meant. She did not have pressured speech. And they kind of go back and forth a little bit. And he's asked, isn't that what it says? It says not hyper, comma, pressured speech. That leads you to say or believe, okay, she wasn't hyper and she had pressured speech. But Jennifer Tufts would not off of that and basically just said that the defense was twisting her notes, even though it was right there, black and white in front of her face. So we can go ahead and watch a little bit of that exchange because that was, like I said, one of the more dramatic moments.
I asked you about getting access to the Women and Infants Hospital records, which you did not. Right?
I did not.
And we already went over that. You could have, if you asked for them with a HIPAA form, right?
Objection, didn't ask about those records.
I don't care if she asked about the records.
Beyond the scope.
Overruled. You can ask that question.
Yeah, the things that the district attorney asked you about on a number of occasions that seems to be important is if the person that you're treating has, I guess, what do they call it, pressured speech?
Yes.
And you told us repeatedly that you never detected that Lindsay had pressured speech, right?
Correct.
I'm sorry?
Correct.
Looking at the record from October 21st, would you...
Objection is writing on this.
Oh, all right. You know what? I'll ask her to just look at it.
Might take a look at it, and if you want to get the actual exhibit, we could do that.
All right. So forget all about my sloppy writing. I'm looking here on October 21st of 22. Is that correct, right up there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And can you just read this paragraph here for us?
No sleep last night. Falls asleep after 40 minutes. Heart racing, severe anxiety. Worrying about kids, baby, sleep. Yawns but not drowsy. Not hyper, pressured speech.
What was that? Not hyper what?
Not hyper, not pressured speech is what I meant. I know it doesn't say not, but that is exactly what I meant.
Wait, when did you see this that you noticed that it did not say not?
I don't care what it says. I know what I meant.
Well, when you wrote this, you did not say not pressured speech. You said in the medical record, pressured speech, right?
No.
Does it say that?
Yeah, the word is the word not is right before not hyper, comma, pressured speech. The
Right,
two
so what
are
does it-
following
what
the
does a comma mean
not.
to you? When you put down in a medical record, heart racing, comma, severe anxiety, comma, worried about kids, comma, baby, comma, sleep, comma, yawns but not drowsy, period. Not hyper, comma, pressured speech. That's what you wrote, right?
She did not have
Did you
pressured
write
speech.
that, doctor?
I wrote that, but you're misinterpreting my note.
Am I reading this correctly, and the jury will be able to look at it, that you put not hyper, comma, pressured speech? Did I read that right?
Yes, but your interpretation is incorrect.
As opposed to yours? That's all I have.
So that got kind of heated there for a moment. That was the end of Cross. And Jennifer Tufts was able to step down after that, and she left. And so that was a little recap of day 10. And after Jennifer Tufts, they called another psychiatrist that was kind of central, and we've heard her name a few times throughout the trial, Dr. Julie Paul. We only got about maybe 10 or 15 minutes of direct questioning in with her before court broke for the day, and we'll resume tomorrow. It was basically, a recap of day 10. And one other note I'd like to note, for anybody who's followed the Karen Reed trial, the name Dr. La Posada should sound familiar. Dr. La Posada was one of the experts that they had called to testify about John O'Keefe's injuries, especially the injuries to his arm. And the prosecution today, and again, this is why I think that they don't even know their own theory, because they seem to be building a case as they go, But they added 3 more expert witnesses to their witness list. And one of them is Dr. La Posada, who will be testifying, I believe, on Lindsay's injuries as well as the injuries of the children. And I really did enjoy Dr. La Posada in the Karen Reed trial. She was very calm, direct, thorough. She was a good expert. Solid lady. So, thank you very much for joining me for another episode of You Would Think. And please remember to put your comments in the comment section and to please like and subscribe. Have a great night.